The longest night ride video has just gone out on GMBN, where I rode around North Wales from sundown till sun up. So what I thought I'd do is run you through the kit I use. It actually took me quite a long time to plan my kit, get my bike ready, and I'll talk you through how I did it. We'll start with the bike. I rode my Canyon Lux for this ride because it was technical. You may remember on my summer solstice ride, I actually rode my Canyon Exceed, proper lightweight cross-country race hardtail. Well, this is their cross-country race full suspension bikes, 100mm travel. I've had it a couple of months now. I've actually been riding it quite a lot and set it up a little bit already. Really for this ride I just added accessories that I knew I was going to need or would actually make my life a bit easier because I knew I was going to be on the bike for 15 hours. So some things I already had on, like the bottle cage, but I made sure I swapped it for that one with the multi-tool on the bottom of there, just so I'm trying to keep most of the stuff on the bike because I had to carry quite a lot of stuff on my back, which I'll talk through in a minute. I've also got a Toe Peak race rocket pump on the side of that bottle cage. I've got my Toe Peak saddle bag there as well. I've got 2 spare tubes in there and a repair kit just in case I needed them. I've got my GMBN ass saver. It's probably the only time I've ever used a rear mudguard. I don't really like the way they look, to be honest. They ruin the aesthetic of a bike. But for this, I knew a wet arse was going to really ruin the ride for me. So I had to actually cut through it to make it nice and secure and actually get that saddle bag to go through there and hold it on. So that actually worked really well. Also up front, I ran the front mud guard just to keep spray out my face. At night, it's actually really hard to use riding glasses just because the shadows, things you get, so I didn't ride with glasses, but it had been really wet for the 2 weeks prior to the ride, so I knew I needed a bit of something to stop the water coming up into my eyes. Had my Wahoo computer on there, I had my GPX file put in there so I knew exactly where to follow. To be fair, I rode 3 trail centres that I know pretty well anyway, so when I was on the off-road bits, that was fine. But actually it was nice to use this on the road section, but also keep track of how far I was along the ride, what the time was, etc. Exposure 6-pack on the bar. I had that on the setting, if you actually look underneath it. I had it on the program number 2, which gives you 18 hours on low. That was actually fine. Had loads of power. And it actually underestimated how long that battery would last. Actually, after riding 15 hours, it still said 14.5 hours left on that. GoPro up on the bars to hit that button and just get those memorable moments like an otter run down the street at 3 o'clock in the morning. Other than that, the bike is set up just as I normally have it. I run the Cross King Continental tyres, you know, decent amount of rubber on there. I could have gone for the Race King, which is a faster tyre, but I'm glad I didn't because it was wet, it was gnarly. I definitely felt like I needed that little bit more tread on the tyres and it was fine, buzzing along the road, absolutely fine. This bike is 1x as standard, so you've got that big Eagle cassette on there. And I found there were times in the night where I was just plodding away as slow as I could to try and keep my effort levels as low as possible. And there was a couple of really steep roads I found I was zigzagging across just to mellow them out a little bit. But it's fine, you know, I love having a 1x setup. I wouldn't have chosen to go 2x just for those hills anyway, to be honest. So the bike is a super lightweight bike. Yes, I've added a few bits to it. It's still not a heavy bike by any means. I've got DT Swiss 1501 spline wheels, 29 of this bike, of course. Drop seat post, really, I had to be a little bit careful. Obviously, it's not ideal mounting a saddlebag onto your dropper post, onto that stanchion. It actually only gives me, you know, an inch of sort of play, and I did use that a little bit, but that's definitely not a permanent solution. I think if you left that on there, you'd end up scratching that post a little bit, so that'll come straight back off, and I'll go back to strapping a tube to my bike or carrying it in my backpack. Comfort was obviously going to be really important. That's why I rode the full suspension bike. I didn't use the lockout at all. I thought in my delirious state in the middle of the night, I'd probably forget to turn it back off, so I let it be, left it as it was. I've got the brand new Ergon SM Comp saddle on there. Best saddle I've ever used. It's so comfortable, absolutely amazing. My bum was not a problem for those 15 hours. Also, one thing I did for comfort is put these Ergon GA3 grips on. So it's actually really the first time I've used these style of grips with that extra bit of padding on the palm. And I was glad I went for a pre-ride on this bike to set up the angles. It's actually quite important. I find if you have them too high and you get sort of too much weight onto the palm, that can be uncomfortable as well. The sort of thing that I would definitely use for these longer style rides where comfort is going to be really important. I've got my trusty Crank Brothers Egg Beaters 11 with the titanium. I love those pedals. They've come with me from bike to bike and they're still going strong. Obviously just to help keep that bike as lightweight as possible as well. I didn't do anything to the suspension. Now, I know I've added quite a bit of weight to it. It'd be nice to actually weigh that, see what it comes out at. But I felt that actually having a bit softer suspension, so with the extra weight, I've sat in there a little bit extra, was going to be good. So I'm not going to be riding that bike aggressively for all that time. So it's nice to just have a bit more supple suspension. I chose to run a bit more pressure in my tyres than normal. So I was up to about 32 on the rear, 28 on the front. Just because I didn't want to be fixing a puncture in the middle of the night with cold hands. And it was fine. Again, it was quite a mellow ride. It's not like I was railing corners and was suffering from that extra pressure at all. So there's the bike, and this is the kit I used, made it all possible. So this is my POC Octalex cross-country helmet. And there's my light on top, so using that mount that goes nicely through the vents. I've got the Diablo right on top of my helmet, and I've got that support cell as well. So again, that lasted all night. I did take a spare support cell in my backpack just in case, but I didn't need it. Now, I know people absolutely hate me using it, but I love this thing. This is my GCN roadie cap. I love sticking under this helmet. Stick the peak up, keeps your head so nice and warm. I use that most of the winter for my cross-country rides, so get involved, get a roadie cap. Right, so on to the kit that I wore. Now this did take a lot of planning, down to the weather. Of course, it's midwinter. The weather was due to be cold but dry. It turned out to be cold and wet. Right, starting off my shoes, got the North Waves Extreme XCM, so proper winter boots. I absolutely love these. First time I've used them, absolutely amazing. Proper winter boot, but it's still performance shoe, carbon sole on it. It's Gore-Tex, so fully waterproof, got the Arctic liners in there, I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but proper winter boots. One thing I did do, because I run my cleats right to the very back, there was a little gaps at the front where the plastic, where you mount your cleat had slid all the way back. So I used a bit of silicone just to fill those holes, just to doubly make sure no water could get in. Nothing did. So warm, I actually love those shoes. I wore some merino socks as well. They're my go-to for winter riding, and my feet were amazing. I actually loved it. Right, start with base layer. My trusty GCN ASOS bib shorts. Of course, comfort was going to be really important. They're the best in the business, ASOS shorts. Or some knee warmers as well. Then over the top, I had these Gore-Tex waterproof trousers. So those over the top of the boots worked really well because I was riding through puddles an awful lot, especially at Pen Macno. Just nothing went down and into my shoes. Anyone who's ever ridden in waterproof socks knows the feeling of water going down and in, and then it's stuck in there. So that's really good. Base layer on top, I've got that Gore wind stopper base layer. So again, really nice and warm. And I started off in that Gore soft shell. We showed in that video not so long ago about actually how waterproof that windproof soft shell actually is. So windproof and pretty much waterproof. Onto my Camelback Hog lowrider. So this is also an awesome piece of kit. Your bladder goes in the back of it. So I carried 3 litres of water on my back, and then is it 750 ml, I think it is, in your bottle on the bike. And the great thing about this is it's designed, the lowrider is designed to carry all the weight super low. So actually your bladder, still got some water in it, sits really nice and low on your back. So it just really does make a big difference to how comfortable you are. You don't have loads of weight hanging off your shoulders all day long. So nice and low in there. In the very back here, you've got the waterproof cover, which I did use. I chucked that over the top, then I mounted another little rear light on there to keep me safe on the roads. Carried things like spares in here. I've got a spare cable, got a survival bag, so that is really important for me. It's a really thick plastic bag that you wouldn't believe how warm that thing is. If you ever got into trouble, get that out of the backpack, climb in it, call someone for help like Superman to come and get me. Also carried a battery for my computer and my phone. Didn't need that for my phone, actually it lasted all night, but I did just top up my Wahoo computer a couple of times when I stopped. Got some of those rubber gloves. I did use these actually. My hands did start to get cold and wet, so about 3/4 of the way through the ride, I took my gloves off, put these underneath, they kept me really warm. Spare merino socks, didn't need those. A spare hat just in case. And my waterproof coats, this is the Gore outer layer waterproof. Middle of the night, I did put that over the top of my soft shell because it was actually surprisingly cold and it started to rain quite heavily by then. You would think that might sound like a bit of overkill, but to be honest, my pace was pretty steady away, so I wasn't working up a massive sweat. And that base layer and those two coats kept me nice and warm without getting sweaty. About 2/3 of the way through the ride, I got back to Betsy with just one more trail centre to ride, the Marin Trail. And actually Nick was staying in his hotel in Betsy and he'd left the car key on top of the car, just in case any emergencies, I can get there for a bit of refuge. So actually I got a coffee from the 24-hour garage and went back, sat there. And by that time I was a little bit cold, a little bit wet. So I actually got into my bag, I got myself a new merino base layer, put a new fresh waterproof coat over the top. It's my 7 mesh one, another brilliant coat. And also took my GCN ASOS, what do you call them, gilets, and put that in my backpack just in case I was cold. Didn't need that in fact, but it was very nice to have some extra stuff when I was cold and wet and just finish off that ride in a bit of comfort. The bike was an absolute trooper. I wouldn't change anything about it, to be fair. Setup was perfect. One thing that did cross my mind in the middle of the night actually was I didn't have a spare mech hanger. So I got quite close to a rock and that gave me a little bit of panic that that could be the one thing that could halt the ride and leave me stranded in the middle of nowhere. And I know the kit is expensive, that proper Gore stuff, Gore-Tex is expensive, but to be honest, I wouldn't do a long ride like that in fairly extreme conditions without it. Nick had some pretty decent waterproof stuff on, but I know he was cold, as I was toasty and warm and super comfortable. If you want to see the ride, click over there for that one. If you want to see my summer solstice ride, there's a lot sunnier and a lot warmer. Click over there, give us a thumbs up if you like watching me do these big rides. I love doing them, and hit that subscribe button.